Well, Drew, I don't think you're an Apple sheep anymore.
Where's Tim?
You don't have the latest iPhone, you didn't keep the Apple Watch Ultra, you don't even subscribe to Apple News Plus.
Where is Tim?
Why do you care so much about your precious Apple CEO if you're not an Apple sheep in the first place?
If I prove to you I'm an Apple sheep, will you tell me where Tim is?
There's only one way you can prove to me that you're an Apple sheep.
What?
Subscribe to Apple One Premiere for the rest of your life.
Craig, you know I'm not gonna do that.
That's right, exactly, because you're not a sheep anymore. How true is that?
You're just mad at me because I'm not using my iPad very much.
I don't know anything about what you're talking about.
Well, how about you shut up and I just tell them exactly what I do use on a regular basis. Let's begin. So yeah, this is a trend I'm not sure if I will continue or not, but I thought it might be fun to just kind of remind everybody between all of our reviews and trying out new Apple products and not keeping certain Apple products, letting you know what is in my ecosystem, what am I using regularly, and this will hopefully be like a chapter in Tailosive Tech history, and it'll help you remember, oh yeah, that's where Drew was in October of 2022. But feel free to comment your ecosystems down below, because we all have different ecosystems that work well for us. But let's start with the obvious. I'm still rocking the graphite stainless steel 45mm Apple Watch Series 7. I still believe this is the prettiest wearable that has ever been made. I love this blue Nike band that I bought years ago, back when it was called a 42mm band, and it still fits, thankfully. With the backwards compatibility, the Apple Watch Ultra was cool and fun, but definitely a bit too bulky and a bit too chunk for my tastes. I love me some good thin bezels, and I'm happy enough with the battery life that this watch offers. I use it as a key for my Mac, I use it for Apple Pay, I use it as a flashlight more often than I'd like to admit, and pinging my iPhone whenever I misplace it. It's just, I feel naked when I don't have my Apple Watch on. Yes, I've even been using it for sleep tracking lately, and I track my workouts with it. So I don't get very far if I don't have an Apple Watch on my wrist. No, it doesn't have to necessarily be the latest Apple Watch, but I appreciate Apple design so much that I'm not easily moving on to the new designs. And in my pocket at the time of recording this is AirPods Pro Generation 1, and even though I originally bought these 3 years ago in October of 2019, none of these AirPods are from the actual original pair. The case was replaced a year into ownership because Apple thought there was something wrong with the charging with it. I was experiencing charge issues, but once I got the new case, I told them that it hadn't fixed the problem, so they sent me a new left AirPod Pro, and that seemed to fix the issue. But then after that, I had the rattling issue with one of my AirPods Pros, so I took it back to the store and they replaced both of the pods. So both of these pods I got earlier this year in the case I got back in 2020. So none of this is from the original pair, not even the ear tips, but I did just use them for recording this week's podcasts. They work great. I'm happy with the noise cancellation. Even though AirPods Pro 2 is objectively better, these still get the job done for me, and because of my lifestyle, I just don't run into using AirPods all that frequently, which means that oftentimes I don't use my AirPods for like 7 days at a time. I'll use them when we record the podcast, and then never again for the rest of the week. That's why I didn't want to upgrade. Plus, I want to see what happens when Apple is forced to ditch the Lightning port. Will there be portless AirPods or USB-C AirPods? Either of those sound more interesting to me, especially when these things are good enough to get the job done for my use cases. But yeah, they're compact, they're portable, they sound good. Excellent transparency mode. I've never tried any other third-party headphones with better transparency than Apple has, and that is something I honestly use more than active noise cancellation. So it's a pretty crucial feature to me. Battery life is not great in these things, but I know the H2 chip has helped solve that. I just need to get to a later point in life when I can justify those kinds of upgrades. But in terms of the core of anyone's ecosystem lies the phone, the device that I think most of us use more than any other device in our lives. The smartphone has unapologetically changed our world, and that's why I choose to have one of the greatest smartphones ever made, the iPhone 13 Pro Max. No, it's not the latest iPhone available, but it is using the same chip that is available now in over $900 iPhones. In fact, if you upgrade the 14 Plus, it's well over $1,000, and they're still shipping that $1,000 brand new iPhone with the same chip that's in the 13 Pro Max, which is how I justify this phone is really not lacking that much compared to the 14 Pro Max. For one, I'm very happy with the static peninsula. I love the dynamic island when it's doing things, but it's oftentimes just sitting there, especially if you're just watching videos or playing a game. I find the peninsula to be less intrusive and doesn't cut in information and content as much as the Island does. And I use Face ID every single day, which has been super reliable for me. It knows my face, even if I put on glasses, it recognizes me. And the camera is still fantastic. And shortly, within the next couple weeks, I'll be able to do all of my podcasting and live streaming straight off of the iPhone camera, thanks to macOS Ventura, which absolutely improves the quality of the live streams a lot. But yeah, all of my videos that I record over on Tailosive EV are shot with the ultra-wide lens on the 13 Pro Max, which still looks really great. Records at 4K at 60. It's replaced a lot of people's vlogging cameras and personal video cameras. Microphone quality is super underrated on this phone, as is the speaker quality. Like, I've listened to other smartphone speakers in the past, and I have a hard time finding any that can compete with the loudness and clarity that the 13 Pro Max offers. So much so to the point that that's one of the reasons I don't typically use AirPods Pro, even when I'm just casually browsing my phone or watching a YouTube video. The onboard speakers are really, really nice. I use this as my wallet, I use it as my boarding pass, I use it as a phone key, and the battery life is still incredible. After a year of ownership and pretty much exclusively charging it either wirelessly, or the few times I have charged it wired, it was fast charging. It still has a 96% battery health, which is plenty for me, and it's very, very hard for me to kill this battery in a day. Pretty much always ending the day around 50% or higher. So the battery health could deteriorate a lot more, and I would still be perfectly fine with this. But camera's still amazing. Display is that buttery smooth 120 hertz, which is easy to forget it's there because I'm so used to looking at 120 hertz displays these days. But as soon as the iPhone gained promotion, I knew they had my money immediately, and every iPhone upgrade after this one is gonna feel insignificant because the jump from 60 to 120 to me was extremely noticeable and appreciated, and every other change, whether it's dynamic island or higher megapixel cameras, all of that's just gonna feel like nitpicking and incremental upgrades compared to the incredible display, which still gets very, very bright, and it's been surprisingly durable. Never got a case for this thing. I've dropped it several times. There's minor scuffs on the edges. I wish the color could have been more space black, but graphite gets the job done ultimately. And I keep all three of these products here that I'm describing charged with my completely overpriced MagSafe Duo. The MagSafe Duo is an awesome accessory because it allows you to easily dock your watch and your phone, powering them both with a single cable, and you get very satisfying, very noticeable animations when the phone or watch does dock with the Duo and starts charging, lets you know what the battery percentage is. If you want the watch to sit flat, you can, or you can prop it up, use it as a nightstand, which I do pretty much every night. But MagSafe Duo is also plugged in directly to the beast of the ecosystem, the heavy lifter, the semi-truck of Apple products. Sorry, I love comparing Apple products to Teslas, but the 16-inch MacBook Pro is what's powering everything you're watching from the Tailosive network. It records the audio and video for the podcasts. I do all of my video editing off of the MacBook Pro, and thanks to its dual encoders on the M1 Max chip, I'm able to quickly export multiple videos per day, and I can even do it on the go, which I have when I've taken trips and worked on those trips and been away from the chargers. The battery is insanely good on the 16-inch MacBook Pro. A barely legal battery if you want to take it on flights, which I have, but the display is a gorgeous, buttery 120 hertz. It's mini LED, so you're getting similar rich colors that you would get out of your iPhone. The webcam quality is very good, and the microphone is so good that most people didn't even notice when I stopped using a dedicated mic for the live streams of the podcasts, because the onboard mic on the MacBook Pros is so good. And the onboard speakers are so rich and so clear that I don't even notice that I don't have desktop speakers, and I've never really felt the need to use headphones or have a dedicated pair on my desk, because the onboard sound honestly is really, really crisp and very clear and gets way louder than honestly I would be comfortable with my MacBook Pro getting. It's so crisp that when I do the members only editing live streams, I don't actually capture my desktop audio. Just the onboard mic is picking up the onboard speakers, and it sounds so clear there's hardly any losses that people don't even realize I'm not capturing the desktop audio like natively. So I'll dive more into that laptop later when I do my 1-year review, but ultimately those main products are the ones I'm using mostly. If I'm going in order of what I use the most, then next would probably have to be the Apple TV, which yes, we are still rocking an A12 chip 4K Apple TV. I don't really love the TV box itself, but I love that Siri remote. It is by far, without question, the best TV remote I've ever used. The aluminum enclosure is light and easy to see in the dark. It has a microphone button, which makes it much easier to search for things in any app. It has a D-pad with regular clicking functionality for people who don't like the trackpad, but if you do like the trackpad, that feature still works. There's a mute button. There's very easy to access and remember volume changers, and of course I can control my entire TV, turn it on, turn it off, change change the volume all with a single remote. I don't have to keep the TCL remote around for anything. I guess that also counts as being part of the ecosystem. It's a 55-inch 4K TCL TV, which doesn't have OLED or anything fancy. It claims to have some kind of HDR, but anytime HDR content is playing, it just looks super dark. But I'm not a big TV snob when it comes to inky blacks or brightness. It was $400. I bought it 4 years ago, and it still works flawlessly, so I'm happy with it. And we pair that with an original white HomePod, which now automatically connects to the Apple TV. I don't talk to the HomePod at all. I'm just literally using it for TV sound, and it sounds incredible, especially considering how small it is. It gets really, really loud, hits very low frequencies. And yeah, we bought it like over 4 years ago now. It's really been that long, but it still works, and there's really nothing wrong with it other than I wish I could connect my Spotify account directly to the HomePod, but that's okay because we still have some Google speakers sitting around anyway. Those were much cheaper. And that OG HomePod syncs with the Apple TV super well. I love the volume indicator on tvOS as well. It's not in the way like most other TV volume UI is. It matches the volume indicator on my phone, and I care so much about little attention to detail like that. So very happy with the current TV setup. But some underrated members of my ecosystem that people probably forget about, I still own and use the iMac Pro. It's right next to my MacBook Pro, and I tend to use it as a dedicated TV or for monitoring the chat when I'm doing something on my MacBook Pro. You know, I haven't quite found that perfect external monitor I'm looking for. I want something that has the chassis design of the Pro Display XDR, but with the refresh rate of the MacBook, you know, with mini LED and 120 hertz, and probably with a price close to that of a refurbished studio display. So because I can't find a monitor that checks all those boxes, I'm still just using what I already have, which is the iMac Pro. Still has a great sound system, and sometimes if we're using stuff on the web, banking sites or spreadsheets, it's nice to have a big 27-inch 5K panel. So my wife, if she ever needs to use a desktop, she tends to want to go towards the iMac Pro. And thanks to universal control, it's pretty easy to just move the mouse between both the displays as needed. And it's also a great test bed for macOS Ventura. I don't put betas on my work machines, so that's why I don't put macOS Ventura quite yet on my MacBook Pro, but I did put it on the iMac Pro so I could mess around with continuity camera, try out the new settings app, and kind of having a backup Mac for emergencies is somewhat nice. But yeah, that essentially covers it, I think. Everything in the ecosystem. Oh, except one more thing. Well, true. You don't have to bring that one up. It's okay. I guess there is some kind of Apple product I left out, didn't I? True, don't say. True, don't say. Please, don't tell them about this. All right, fine then. I won't tell them. Wait, seriously? Seriously? You're not gonna say anything? Say anything about what, Craig? I have no idea what you're talking about. That's my... I'm supposed to... You got stage manager, okay? What more do you want? Yeah, it's okay. Stop talking, Craig. People skip the skit for a reason. Yeah, the 2018 iPad Pro is dead to me. I mean, literally, it is sitting underneath the bed right now without a charge. I booted it up once to show you that stage manager can work on an iPad with 4 gigs of RAM. I proved my point, and then never ran into a situation where I felt like using it again. So, yeah, there's technically something of ownership in every Apple category, except, I guess, AirTags. I don't have any of those, but I am daily using an iPhone, an Apple Watch, AirPods, MacBook, iMac, MagSafe Duo, and an Apple Card. Basically, all of my expenses are put on that same credit card. It's the only credit card I own. If that's not Apple sheep enough for you, I don't know what is, but now you guys are all caught up. That's what I'm basically using on the daily. Sorry, not even the Apple Pencil gets much use from me anymore, but I'm totally happy for you if you found a use for the iPads. And of course, fill me in on what your guys' ecosystems are. If you like these kinds of videos, let me know if you think I should do more in the comments below. Maybe as years go by and the ecosystems change, it'll be good to kind of do update videos too. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I'll see you all in the next one.